guys. Wow, this is such an honor. The book of Acts. Wow, my favorite book of the Bible. What I want to hit on is a couple things. First of all, you need to know that the book of Acts was written by Luke, Dr. Luke, and Luke wrote the entire book in Greek. It's the fifth book of the New Testament, and Luke, in a doctor kind of way, begins to unpack what the early church looks like with the ascension of Jesus. Can you just imagine for a minute? You've been walking with him 3.5 years. He died. Now he's been walking around in his resurrected body for 40 days with you and your friends, walking through walls. It says he's sitting down, eating with them. One of the things amazing I love about Jesus is when he's showing up to these meetings, he's appearing in different ways. Like one moment he's a gardener in a garden, and the next moment he's walking through a wall as a Messiah. The next he's a ghost on the ocean. You just never know how Jesus is going to show up in the book of Acts. So the first question is are you open to when Jesus just randomly shows up to you, but he looks like a homeless man or a prostitute or a wealthy businessman? You just never know how Jesus in his resurrected state is going to come. Let's fast forward down to, I believe it's Acts 1 verse 23, where there's got this gentleman named Joseph. Well, who was Joseph? Joseph was a young man who gave a field to the apostles that he owned. The apostles needed money so that they could begin to provide food and stuff for the widows and the orphans. So this Joseph, he so encouraged the apostles in a profound way. They were so vulnerable, they were running for their lives, and this guy shows up with radical generosity and gives them a field. He so impacted their life that they changed his name to Barnabas. Barnabas grabs the apostle Paul shortly after he is thrown down to the ground and is blind and all the scales fall off. Well, everyone is scared of Paul because he'd been dragging their wife and kids out in the streets and stoning him. Barnabas is the guy who grabs Paul, takes him on the backside of the desert for a number of years and fathers him. I want you to think about something for a moment. You don't have 2/3 of the New Testament Bible without Barnabas, because Barnabas is the one that won Paul's heart and mentored him to where we now have 2/3 of the New Testament Bible. By the way, you don't have the book of Mark without Barnabas. Barnabas grabs Mark, young John Mark, after he's basically had a church split with Paul later on. And he says, come with me. And he mentors him and fathers him and encourages him. And later on, I think it's in Acts 16, we see Paul says, give me John Mark back. He's good for the ministry. And shortly after that, the book of Mark was written. You need to know that the book of Acts is a narrative of encouragement. You begin to see how decisions made by unknown people radically transform what the early church looks like. And then you get to chapter 2 where Jesus says, all right, I want you to tarry, I want you to wait, because one greater than me is coming. He's going to baptize you in the Holy Spirit. Can you imagine what it looked like? These guys are scared. They're up in an upper room. There's 120 of them. And after a couple days, they're waiting and praying, and the Holy Spirit falls down on them. And did you know that when they were filled with the Holy Spirit, if you are filled with the Holy Spirit today, it is a result of their obedience to wait and tarry. It's important with the Holy Spirit in the book of Acts that you learn to wait on the Holy Spirit and that He'll give you direction through this study. As you slowly begin to go through chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, I don't want you to read it once or twice, or even I want you to read it 4 times. My professor and mentor told me, he said, Jeff, you really don't see the word until you read it multiple times. And then revelation, understanding, and these things will begin to pop out to you, just like with Barnabas. And when you're sitting in your small groups, this is the main question I want you to ask as you're going through chapter 1. Who can I profoundly be an encouragement to? Because they could be the next Billy Graham. They could be the next Bill Johnson. They could be the next Lou Engle. They could be the next, you name it. by your encouragement. That's what the book of Acts really represents. Thank you.
Brother, let me be your step.